Pela inovação e desenvolvimento da economia azul, pela defesa dos ecossistemas marinhos e costeiros, através da utilização sustentável dos recursos naturais, através da aposta no capital humano. Surge o programa Crescimento Azul, financiado pela inovação e desenvolvimento da economia, sobretudo no apoio a pequenas e médias empresas marinhas, que nos aporta a investigação e desenvolvimento da área, que promover a educação e informação profissional, o mar no centro de desenvolvimento sustentável. Pela inovação e desenvolvimento da economia azul, pela defesa dos ecossistemas marinhos e costeiros, através da utilização sustentável dos recursos naturais, através da aposta no capital humano. Surge o programa Crescimento Azul, financiado pelos EEA Grants, sobretudo no apoio a pequenas e médias empresas, no suporte à investigação de ciência e tecnologia, na promoção da educação e formação profissional, o mar no Centro de Desenvolvimento Sustentável. EEA Grants, working together for a green and competitive Europe.
It is an honor and a joy for me to open this final seminar of the MediMARE project, welcoming everyone who follows us, who face-to-face or remotely follows us. Allow me to perform this global welcoming whilst very specially greeting two of the participants in our meeting. I mean, I'm addressing everyone, but I'm addressing very special two of the participants. I mean, first of all, Dr. Maria João Carapeto, who gives me the pleasure of sharing this panel. Dr. Maria João Carapeto is head deputy of National Focal Point EEA Grants Portugal, and is a researcher at the Center for R&D on Law and Societies, CEDIS, at a research center at the Nova School of Law. And it is a pleasure and an honor sharing this panel. I mean, the other participant I'm addressing, I mean, naturally, Dr. Dulce Lopes, my colleague and friend, who is my adventure companion in USILER's coordination board, and with whom we all identify MediMARE project. It is always a joy for me to be able to acknowledge in front of such a qualified audience how much the University of Coimbra Institute for Legal Research owes to Dr. Dulce's unconditional generosity and strength, but also to her knowledge and experience, which also involves an indefatigable working capacity and a truly contagious enthusiasm. Concerning this MediMARE project, there is no need to emphasize the remarkable consonance of its objectives with the thematical core and the aspirations and resources of USILER's strategic projects. we certainly have, on the one hand, the challenge of the sea, of the world of the sea, and maritime controversies, with all the complex regulatory frameworks involving consuetudinary practices, international statutory conventions, governance standards that the second half of the 20th century multiplied. On the other hand, we have the stimulating territory of alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, with the challenges, the societal challenges they pose to the consideration of jurisdictio, of the integrity and the autonomy of the law and jurisdictio responses. This stimulating conjugation of two different challenges plunges us into a context of intelligibility that is constitutively interdisciplinary and surmountably interdisciplinary. The theme that this project was able to stimulate, thanks to the exemplary cooperation between our institute, the Nova School of Science and Technology, the Polytechnic of Leiria, and the Norwegian University of Science and Technology, and its Studio Apertura, thus involving lawyers, mediators, environmental engineering scholars, organizational and governance experts, professors and PhD students, is a magnificent example of what responsible research can and should be today. The outcomes are here and will be exposed today, very soon. I think we all deserve congratulations, certainly with the premise of future common enterprises. Thank you very much. I would like to
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon to all of you. Well, I prepared some notes in Portuguese, but of course I will change to English in order to address everyone's needs. I would like to thank deeply for this invitation and to congratulate all the team. And of course, give my best compliments to Professor Rosa and Professor Dulce Lodge, that I know from other ways in the law field. Also to the project partners, and also to all the speakers and participants of this amazing project. Well, it's a great honor for me as a new head deputy of the EA grants in Portugal. I started recently to be here and to give you this, to address you these short words, but very committed words of proud for this project. This is a very special day for this project. We are coming to an end with these final results, and what we see is the audacity of challenging to address a subject of arbitration in maritime disputes. It's to challenge the status quo. It's to be different. It's to dare. This is an incredible and complex field of study. And as I know from reading a bit more about this project, I can only say that this was a partnership that produced gold with its outcomes, who dare to be innovative, to get the public, and to increase the quality of science, which is a big objective of the EA grants. I would like to share some knowledge to you about EA grants. I don't know if this is clear for you, but the EA grants were born in 1992 as resulting from the agreement of the FT states, which are Norway, Iceland, and Liechtenstein. Portugal is a beneficiary since that time. The current mechanism which began in 2014, and well, it was supposed to last until 2021, has an overall budget of 102 million euros that are split in 5 programmatic areas. Blue growth, which is the one that funded MediMARE, environment, conciliation and equality of gender, and also culture and support to civil society with the program of the Active Citizens, which is financed by Fundação Raio Barreto and Fundação Carlos Colóquio. We also have a special fund for bilateral relations, which is managed by the National Focal Point, of 3.5 million euros, which is directed to initiatives, every type of initiative that intends to strengthen the relations between the donor countries, Norway, Liechtenstein, and Iceland, and to initiatives that could present immediate results and to improve these relations. Well, the balance could not be better. We have now financed 410 projects. Yesterday, I was at the final seminar of an important project, also an important project of the environment program, and our Secretary of State of Planning said the e-grants funded 410 dreams. MediMARE is one of them, proudly. Well, as you all see, the Blue Growth Program, which funded this project, it's focused on 5 main goals: to increase the competitivity of Portuguese companies in the area of blue growth, to give support to the resources of the companies that operate in the maritime field, to improve the performance of researching in the Portuguese universities, to reinforce education, training, and cooperation for the maritime and sea questions. Also, to increase the collaboration between the beneficiaries and the donors of the program. Now, the Blue Growth Program is closing, but its final amount of funding was 45.9 million euros. That supported 118 projects in the field of blue growth. It's something that we all should be proud. MediMARE is part of this. MediMARE is part of a new approach of blue growth, of a change of page in the way that we see the sea and the relevance of the sea. We are now ending this financial mechanism. We are setting the page. We are preparing the legacy of this mechanism and preparing the next one. Hopefully, in the next few months, the negotiations started last July, and I can assure you that Portugal is very committed to keep going with this fund, to keep going with the commitment of sharing the results, of disseminating results in the areas that are so dear to us. I will finish my short presentation by thanking you again for inviting me to be here. I'm very, very honored and proud to be here. And give you my personal compliments as someone who is interested in these matters for daring in the area of arbitration in the maritime disputes. Thank you.
Todos os panels. Ou eu, tá vendo?
Estou a Roberta, não é? Eu, Roberta e o Francisco. Roberta. Mas o Francisco está online. Just 1 minute. Vamos pôr o Zoom. Só. Não sei que está o Zoom. Também.
Só para focar aqui. Teatro 9 da Universidade de Brasília. Esse evento sobre o ensino médio que se realiza dentro da semana universitária.
I'm sorry for this. We have some difficulties.
Nós tivemos o privilégio de discutir o tema Contribuições para uma Política Nacional e Democrática.
O Zoom, eu preciso ligar o Zoom para o Francisco. Mas para ele se ver, é o Francisco. Francisco, you can join in with
Hi.
camera. Hi. So,
How are you?
Fine, thank you. I think we all are fine. We've just started our MediMARE, Mediation in Maritime Disputes final seminar. Indeed, it's the second seminar, second final seminar, given the postponement of the end of the project. We decided to once again try to open up what we have done within the MediMARE project and focus today on specific outputs and results. Results that you can see in our website, all of them except one that's still being finalized, are in terms of graphic design, are available on the website medimare.eu. Only the online course in maritime mediation is not immediately accessible, but it's running. The second edition is already running. We have more than, again, 100 enrolled persons from all over the world again. So it's a huge success. We have a very successful first edition with more than 100 participants finishing the course successfully. And now we have the second edition going. Of course, for that, you need to enroll. If you do want to do that, you can still, because we will accept it if you do it through the course of this week that is ending or next week. And there will be other editions, because as long as the online course is successful, as Sylvia will say, we will continue to ensure it. So everything, all of these outcomes we are discussing in this final seminar are available online as required by open access rules and also by our funder that aims to reach out to every public on this particular and very important issue of maritime mediation. So at this point, this first session is devoted to publications. We have lots of reports and have done lots of reports. We'll talk about that in a while. But in terms of publications, what is, I would say, a global compound of what was the experience within and the teachings and the learnings within this MediMARE project, we can say it has been condensed into two main publications. The first will be addressed by Francisco Nunes Livreiro, that is here from Nova. And the second will be addressed, well, by myself, although I am here more in the moderator capacity, and by its author, Roberta Donat, here in my myself. We'll start by giving the floor to Francisco, so that show what this guidebook, MediMARE guidebook on maritime aviation is. So I give the floor, Francisco, so you can explain what was the intention and the results behind the guidebook.
Okay, can I just share my screen?
I think you have permissions.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here we are.
We'll put it into perfect. It's done.
Is it good? Can you see?
It's good.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Francisco Livreiro. I'm here to present to you the MediMARE's guidebook on behalf of the Nova Mare team. The team is composed by me, by Professor Leia Vasconcelos, Filipe Ferreira, and by Professor Ursula Casa from Mediate Domain. So I will talk to you briefly about what is the guidebook, its purpose, its objectives. I will present to you in a really brief way because I know that during this session you will talk about all of this content in a more deep way. So I will just briefly tell you what does the guidebook have, and I will end with the final remarks regarding this guidebook. So the guidebook gives us a synopsis of the several components of the project and its major findings. It aims to provide a general overview of the whole MediMARE project. It explains the main steps of the project and its results. It offers practical information and experience for the greater involvement and development of maritime mediation. All the elements combined in the guidebook can show us that it is a highly innovative production with an expected broad impact and transferability potential. It has 4 versions. The first one is in Portuguese, and the other ones are in English, Norwegian, and French. But besides containing all of the steps of the project, the guidebook contains some valid theoretical information regarding the definitions of mediation and its many components, such as maritime mediation, private conflicts, international maritime conflicts, border disputes conflicts, and many others. I will give you a brief look at the taxonomy, which is the first component of the guidebook. So besides contributing to the main events of the project, the taxonomy increased knowledge and governance in the maritime field and contributed to understanding the more recurring types of disputes and characterize their traits. The taxonomy helped us at the MediMARE project to address the fact that the sea is a wide area in which several interests and projects interact. And by performing this taxonomy, it gave us the visibility to the main conflict situations at sea or related to the sea, and link them with the possibility for mediation to take place. The taxonomy intended to cover a wider number of disputes. Besides these ones that you can see on the screen, it also covers contractual disagreements regarding provision of services or fishing quotas adjudication, labor and disciplinary disagreements, and many others. So for this, the NTNU team focused more on the taxonomy model, and this model is of particular importance for mediation development in the maritime area, because this taxonomy allowed us, the MediMARE team, to understand that mediation is relevant and is a relevant alternative, or is an extrajudicial dispute resolution mechanism that has gained international and national attention all over the past decades, and given its ability to solve highly technical disputes and other conflicts that you cannot find a proper answer in courts. Besides the taxonomy, we also covered interviews. 19 interviews were conducted in Portugal and 10 were in Norway. The choice for the interviewees was made based on their area of expertise in order to collect a broad vision of several areas of work related to maritime activities. We covered a lot of people from different jobs. So we talked to lawyers, ship owners, we talked to maritime police commanders, CEOs of fishing companies, members of the fishing communities, and the interviews aimed to evaluate the interviewee's personal experience with mediation, the interviewee's thoughts regarding the suitability for disputes, the necessary skills for the mediator, the preparation for the mediation processes, and education for maritime mediators. Besides this, we also had an online course, such as Dr. Dulce told you before. The MediMARE online course aimed to be an introductory course to mediation in maritime disputes. It explored both mediation as a dispute resolution tool in theory and practice, and the issue of maritime conflicts in their wide variety of forms. So the objective is to make apparent that mediation and maritime disputes have close links. Mediation can be, in many private and mixed nature disputes, the most appropriate means to induce pacification at sea. And this online course required 25 hours of students' work and included 4 modules, all fully delivered online through the Moodle platform. And students pointed out strong points regarding the course. They thought that it was well organized. They thought that the case studies were well relevant. It had a variety of resources. It was flexible. They also pointed out some not so strong points, which gave us the understanding that there is still more room to improve, and that this online course and the many components of the MediMARE project is just a stepstone, is a starting point to understand better what is maritime mediation and the use of maritime mediation for the people in the world. So the next content of the guidebook is the communication and dissemination content. The events that were organized under the MediMARE project contributed to the attainment of a deeper maritime conscience, not only by the ample knowledge shared, but also by the involvement of the several stakeholders that may build on that knowledge and invest decisively in mediation in the maritime field. We held a number of events in the MediMARE project, online workshops, a final symposium, and the exhibition Countries of the Sea, which was held during the final symposium in Coimbra. And this content of communication and dissemination allowed us to have a direct contact and specialized targets, allowing for a closer control of feedback, for example, enabled us to have a good evaluation. And these activities under the project allowed the team to understand how much there is still to be done, and the specificities of these conflicts make them fertile ground for experimentation, implementation of alternative dispute resolution mechanism, mainly mediation. Another content of the guidebook were the traineeships. So the aim of the traineeships was to enable trainees to develop skills in the real maritime mediation scenarios. The traineeship tasks involved real mediation scenarios and the analysis of maritime disputes. During these traineeships, trainees had the opportunity to follow some of the collaborative co-construction processes involving the local administrative and fishermen community, with a view to building joint solutions for the resolution of emerging conflicts. The selected trainees were attributed with several tasks. Firstly, they conducted interviews to fishermen from different fishing communities. Also, the trainees participated at the MediMARE intensive course in maritime mediation, which I will talk about next, but you will also have an opportunity to know about it later in this session. And this course happened in Leiria from the 19th to the 30th of June. And finally, the trainees developed case studies where they developed a brief geographical characterization of the two case studies selected, which was Costa da Caparica, Fonte da Telha, and Trafaria, in order to provide the spatial context of departure. And the aim of the case studies was to analyze the main conflicts that arise within small-scale fishing communities. So the main goal was to reach an optimum response to the issues identified in the case studies, keeping in mind that the community's perspectives are different, but also the several opportunities that can be beneficial for them if they work in collaboration with the entities that are there to assist them. Lastly, from the guidebook content, we have the intensive training course. So this intensive course aims to provide basic knowledge regarding the maritime mediation process and the specificities of this dispute resolution mechanism when applied to maritime conflicts. This activity aimed to develop a training course in order to teach students and professionals working in the maritime field to expand their skills with mediation and to promote a culture of peaceful conflict resolution in their current and future work. The participants in this intensive course should be able to, for example, learn and identify the characteristics of maritime mediation, to understand basic concepts on maritime law and mediation, and to characterize any maritime disputes within the maritime taxonomy. And the course was developed around several modules, for example, maritime law and mediation, maritime mediator characteristics, and key concepts and critical factors for mediation, between many others. Final remarks regarding this guidebook. So what do we think that this guidebook has allowed to us? All in all, it allows the reader of the guidebook to summarize and catch up with all the details of the project and its partners, different components, yes. It explains the main steps of the project, its results, but it also offers practical information and experience from the greater involvement and development of maritime mediation. It is a valid scientific tool for those who want to be more informed and ready to deal with maritime mediation situations, for those who want to acquire both theoretical and empirical knowledge regarding mediation, conflicts, international conflicts, and it offers us different tools to avoid disputes regarding aspects related to the sea. And in what way can the guidebook be useful? So it can be useful for those who feel inspired by the MediMARE projects and want to apply the same type of capacity building and training to other people. It is a pioneer guide for those who care and are worried about the maritime mediation cause, and teaches them how to act regarding this topic. And it is a pedagogical step-by-step and theoretical and an empirical fountain of knowledge regarding maritime mediation and its many variants. So I finished the presentation, but I have it's kind of a surprise for you. I can tell you that the guidebook is done, all of its versions. We have them on PDF, and I can show you the covers. We have the Portuguese version, the English version, the French version, and the Norwegian version, and they are all set and done. They are available, and I can send them to Dr. Dulce whenever she feels like it's the time. We are still working with the DOIs, still working on it, but it's just a couple of days, I think, and it's ready. And so, yeah, I would like to thank you all for your attention, for your availability, for being here, and I wish you all a really good continuation of this session.
Thank you, Francisco. Are there any questions about the guidebook? No, I think everyone is eager we already participated in it, but I'm eager to see the final result. It seems quite nice. So let's just see if we have it online very soon. Of course, getting this DOI so that it can be more easily accessed is very important. So we want to have it with everything prepared, but it will be very soon. I know that. And thank you for presenting us prize. We knew the content, but we were not aware of the cover. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Francisca, and to everyone, Leah, Filipa, everyone from Nova that were mostly involved in this output. So as a sequel or a prequel, I don't know how to call it, because this is already here and has a DOI, so DOI. So we will present now another publication from the MediMARE project. This one is already available on the website. We also did some printed copies to distribute mostly to libraries, because I still like to reading it in paper, and it's sometimes more convenient. In any case, this book that I will show now, on maritime mediation, that has the image of the project that was selected for the project in the front cover. So you can see it also in the website, is a book that also encapsulates many of the work and conclusions that we draw from the project. But it's from one point of view, it's a collective work because it draws from this effort of the team. On the other point, it's an individual work from Roberta Donato, because she was the one that included everything, and some or most of the work here was done by her during the project. She will explain that in a while, about the structure and about the book itself. So it's unlike the guidebook, which is more of a practical content, I would say, content. This book is more, I would say, it has more an academic vein. So it's a reflection on some of the issues. It's very easy to read, so it's for all publics. But in any case, it's a reflection on the subject itself, not that much on the project, but on the subject itself. That was the basis for the project. So I will just introduce Roberta, that's here by my side. She's a PhD candidate in business law at the Faculty of Law at the University of Coimbra, and also collaborative researcher at the University of Coimbra Institute for Legal Research. That is the general entity that coordinated the project. She was selected as a scholarship holder of the project, but she has a long academic and professional history. She holds an LLM in International Legal Studies from Georgetown Law in the US, and a Master of Arts from in International Affairs from the Ohio University, also in the US, a Bachelor of Laws from Milton Campus, Brazil, and a Bachelor of Business from Centro Universitário UNA in Brazil. So she really dwells on these issues, and she had already a bit of a previous academic experience with maritime issues. And then she was a very good collaborator within the MediMARE project, and I thank her for that. And that's why we have this result. It's not easy in a year and something to just put up and present a book on this issue. And I congratulate her for having managed that. And I commend everyone that go online and just check the book. And from there, you'll have really a good introduction and interesting insights on the development of maritime mediation. So, Roberta, I give you the floor. Please present your work.
Thank you. I would first of all like to acknowledge how honored, pleased, and thankful I am to have participated in the MediMARE project. I would also like to express publicly my gratitude to Professor Dulce Lopes for the learning and for the friendship we developed along the project, as well as for the coordination of my work during this project and for the detailed revision of this book. I would also like to thank my brilliant and inspiring colleagues with whom It was a pleasure to work with in the project. The book is one of the outputs of the project, and the idea would be to develop in it the main scientific concepts that we developed and worked with throughout the project. A book with the most basic concepts for anyone interested who would be starting to study maritime mediation. So we gathered briefly the main concepts needed for an introduction to the field, kind of like, a basic handbook. The public the book is directed to is students, maritime operators, mediators, and all interested parties in maritime mediators, even without any legal background or formation. The book is available in open access through a DOI link, and it's also, as Professor Jose mentioned, available at the MediMARE website and at the University of Coimbra Library website. It is composed of 6 chapters. The first one is an introduction to maritime conflicts, and as such, we will explain what are the concepts of maritime disputes that we have worked within the project, its actors and types, especially classifying the conflicts into public, private, and of a mixed nature type. Knowing how to differentiate these conflicts is important to know if maritime mediation may be used for the conflict at stake. Still within chapter 1, there's the explanation on sources and leading organizations of international maritime law, which are important due to the role they play on the development in the area. Important international organizations such as the World Maritime Organization, the ICC, and UNCITRAL are also introduced in the chapter. And in chapter 1, we bring a discussion on the implications of the intrinsic international nature of maritime disputes. Since most of international commerce is made through maritime means, crossing the international border of states and having within their contracts international parties and or different states of loading and unloading merchandise and disputes that arise from such contracts will have an international nature, and these will lead to complex discussions related to applicable legislation and choice of forum. These matters are of main importance in case a conflict arises and need to be solved in a litigant manner. On chapter 2, we entered the discussion on the alternative dispute resolution means, differentiating arbitration and mediation, and talking about the advantages and setbacks, especially comparing each other. As arbitration has long been used in the maritime field, we have talked about it specifically to understand its framework and what are its advantages, the same way we do regarding mediation, which is the basic of the work. Both these forms of alternative dispute resolution means are complementary, and there is one book subsection dedicated to this complementary characteristic of these two very important forms of alternative dispute resolution means for the maritime field. On chapter 3, we discussed the taxonomy on maritime mediation that was developed in the context of the project by the NTNU team with inputs by partners of the project group. This taxonomy is intended to classify the dispute with regards to their actors, category of disputes, and indication of dispute severity, which includes complexity, impact, and urgency. The explanation of the taxonomy is followed by an illustration of its use with more than 70 examples of possible conflicts where the taxonomy could be applied. In the mediation types subsection, we include the characteristics of evaluation mediation, the facilitative model, the principal models, the transformative model, and the narrative circular model, with insights by our colleagues, Professors Katia Marques Cebola and Susana Sardinha, of how each of these models could be applied into the maritime mediation kit. Subchapter 3.4 presents the maritime mediation procedures and some of its possibilities, followed by the introduction of requirement for the enforcement of settlement agreements, much needed for the legal certainty required by any agreement of the parties. In Chapter 4, we introduce international commercial and maritime mediation associations, followed by Chapter 5, where we expose associations' mediation rules, and in Chapter 6, the maritime mediation clauses. These topics were much discussed throughout the project, and as we understand the growth of the use of mediation, rules of procedures and their indication on the use of, the growth of the use of the mediation rules of procedures is an indication of how, is an informal evidence of how mediation has been growing in the past years. And finally, the book has two annexes. The first one is what we have called the Wiki MediMARE, the Mediation and Maritime Glossary. And the second one is the Wiki MediMARE Useful Links, where we provide the reader with an important list of links to research, divided into two, international conventions, international organization and courts, and the mediation societies, mediation rules and clauses. Well, this is the basic content of the book. So I thank you for your attention and I'm available for any questions or comments.
Very good. So, thank you to both. These are one of the more visible outputs of the project. I don't know if anyone wants to intervene immediately or if we leave the questions to the end. Well, we really need to read it before. And then after, we will have maybe some questions to pose to our colleagues that had the incumbency of putting forward these publications, and that are really the visible face, I would say, of the project. So thank you very much. And then we'll move on, still within time, to the second session on courses. And I will leave you in the second session with our project partners, Professora Kátia Marques Cebola, that will talk about the intensive course on maritime mediation, and with Sylvia Nolan, our main responsible for the course I already talked about, and Francisco also mentioned, the online course on maritime mediation. Thank you very much, and keep on the other line.
Mas já fiquei direto.
So good afternoon. Thanks again for all of you being here for the second time for this final event of this project. This is a sign that this project continues to have outputs and to get interest from the public. So thank you so much, and thank you also for the people that are seeing us online. So regarding this second section, what we will try is to give you an overview of the results of an assessment, a quality assessment that we did to students that participate both in the intensive training course in Leiria, like Francisco already told you, and also to review again the assessment or the answers get from the assessment in the online course. What we try, we use the same structure of the assessment, but the questions are adjusted to different realities. This is Sylvia was responsible for the assessment in the online course. I was responsible for the intensive course that was a face-to-face training. So we have to adjust the questions, but in general, we respect the same structures, and I have to thank to Sylvia because she facilitated my work, since I have as model the assessment that she already had made in the online training. So I will, in order to be easier, I thought, okay, I will. Okay. Just give me a moment here, and I will share with you because it's easier to. I think that you are seeing at home also. Yeah, and also here. So first of all, the intensive training was a face-to-face course or training that took place in Leiria, and the first thing that I want to say is that the main goal of this intensive training, it was not to prepare a team of maritime mediators. This is what we try to do, is to understand what a training in maritime mediation should have in terms of contents, in terms of length, if it will work better in face-to-face or in online terms. So the objective, the goal, it was not to prepare already 20 mediators in maritime fields, but to realize what a training should have in terms of structure, in terms of contents, in terms of hours. So we tried this first, it was like a pilot, a training pilot, in order to realize how a maritime training should be in fields after the project. So this intensive training had a total of 55 hours, 45 in contact, and 10 hours of activities that we give to SCTS, that is an European graduation regarding hours in trainings, and took place, as Francisco told you before, between 19th of June to 30th of June. It had 20 students with scholarship. We made a contest, a call for this scholarship. We have, I think, more than 40 students that try to have these, that apply to this scholarship, but we only have 20 scholarships to give to students. But we integrate 4 more students, 3 trainees from Nova Lisbon, and the scholarship, a scholarship from Leiria. So we have in total 24 students. And we also try to understand if students with scholarship can have a different perspective about the training. In terms of schedule, we mix classes with seminars. So we prepare a structure regarding the context that we thought it will be, what it should be, the structure of a training regarding mediation in maritime field. But also we want to give students some different perspectives from external experts in this field. Also, we have the participation of our partners from Norway. So we have Portuguese experts in maritime mediation or in mediation. We have experts from Norway that were our partners, and also external experts in these fields. Regarding the survey, or the satisfaction assessment survey, it included 16 questions. I think it's almost the same in the you have two more because you have 19, because you have I think questions regarding the platform, and we cannot, of course, put that questions in our survey. So questions 1 to 3, we wanted to collect information regarding what are the main characteristics of the students. Questions 4 to 8, we analyze contents, activities, resources, the lectures and trainers, and interpersonal relationship. Questions 9 to 10, we aim to know what were the expectations of students to the course. We also intended to know what was the level of knowledge of students, because we want to understand if students should have some pre-requirements before go to this training. In questions 12 to 13 were open questions where we try to assess the opinion of students regarding strengths and weakness of the course. Questions 14 to 5. I know that I'm talking about your assessment too, but okay. So I am still your presentation. I'm so sorry about that. So I'm really quickly about this. Questions 14 to 15. The opinion about the topics they think or they thought that was interesting in the course. And the last question was an open answer question, because sometimes it's easier to really understand what they feel when they are here. So now trying to compare both trainings, online and face-to-face training. Our students in this face-to-face training, almost more than 50% of them have 20 to 30 years, but we also have 3 students that have more than 41 years. So that's quite interesting. And in field, in the classroom, what was quite interesting to realize the relationship between the older and the younger, and the people with more experience and less experience. That was quite interesting. Well, women rule the world. So we have 16 females and just 5 males. I think I don't say we have 24 students, but only the students with the scholarship answer to this assessment. So that's why we don't have 24 answers, but 21, because I asked my scholarship Ana Paula to answer this assessment also. In terms of qualifications, just 5 had a PhD or has PhD or are PhD candidates. Mainly from here, from the Coimbra University. 6 had or are master candidates, and 10, so almost half of the students has only a bachelor mainly in law. Regarding the contents, as you can see, I was talking about the color, and I tried to realize what is the purple, the purple color you see is regarding totally. So almost all of our students totally agree regarding the context that we give to them. So they thought that the contexts of the course were interesting, were adapted to the goals of the course, give them the context they need if they want to be a maritime mediator. Regarding the activities, also almost generally of students like the activities, like the dynamics, and I'm talking about a little more later about what they said, because I think this is more interesting than only to respond to the just given a grade and not to see what they say. Also regarding the materials and bibliography, they like the contents, they like of the PowerPoints. They also love the lectures. They thought it was quite interesting because they love practical activities. They like the interrelationship between professors, trainers, and students. So that it was quite interesting. And as you see, they love interpersonal relationship, as I told you before. Expectations, as already as you can see, almost or more than half think that or said that the expectations were more than exceeded, and 7 or 6 said that they met the expectations. So regarding the expectations, it is quite interesting because even if the most students said that the course was practical, they want more, and it was quite interesting because I think they were expecting to be mediators after this course, so they want more role plays. What gives us the idea that the course should be longer, should have more hours, and have to have a more practical vein in order to have more roll-ups, more simulations, where they can even be mediators in field. So I think what as I told you before, the main goal, it was not to prepare a team of maritime mediators, but I think after the course, they wanted to be prepared to be mediators. So I think this course gives us the idea that this field is a field where we can not put money, but put our time in order to develop more courses or more trainings regarding this. It is, as you can see, after the course, the level of knowledge improve a lot. So this gives us a positive perspective from the course. Strong points, as I told you, the main opinions is that the strong points of the course is practical insights, practical activities, practical interactions, but they wanted more. And weak points, as I told you before, is, and I quote the answer of a student that said, I would like to have more maritime conflicts and conflict solving related. I think that they hoped to be in the sea, in a boat, and solve directly the conflict. I think they were expecting, we made the activity in Figueira da Foz, and they were sad because they thought that they will solve the conflict somehow in Figueira da Foz, and we just visit a research department in Figueira da Foz. So that's in general. That's, and I will I will give floor to Sylvia. I think in general, what I can say is students love. I think that realize the importance of solving conflicts in maritime field by mediation, and they want to be maritime mediators. So that gives us the idea that you should continue this course. We should continue to offer this training. In Portugal, we have to have the approval of the Ministry of Justice. I don't know, so perhaps work with also the Sea Minister in order to create a team of maritime mediators, because in general I think they as I told you, they want to participate in a real mediation section. So I think they really want to be mediators in this field. So as general conclusion, I think we have to create a course with more hours, with more roll-ups, with more simulations, in order to really create in Portugal or in European terms a team of maritime mediators. One thing that I didn't say, it is important. They realize that maritime mediation has specificities, and the training regarding these fields is also different, for instance, from environmental mediation. Environmental mediation and maritime mediation can be quite different. Sea can have a specific challenge in specific conflicts. So what we can, a conclusion that we can have also from this course is that training mediation in environmental is not the same as a maritime training mediation. So I think that is the main conclusion of this pilot, to create a specific mediation training in maritime field. So thank you, and I give floor to
So, you are seated. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Katya, for passing the floor to me. I would first of all like to thank Dulce for the opportunity to participate in this project and in a previous project that I was in with her. For me, it's a different perspective because I am not from law. I am not from any science related to the sea. I am from education and from pedagogy and online training. So this is my specialty. And this is always a challenge to come into a new world and give a contribution towards the training of new fields, which are so important to us. And to start my presentation, I'm going to give you a totally different perspective than the one Katya gave you. So I'm not going to focus on the content of the course or on the results and outcomes of the course itself, but on the way we were able to put into place a training with the contribution of experts in this field. So, and to do so, I'm just going to give you a short overview of the distance learning approach we chose for this course and how our distance learning unit at the University of Coimbra comes into these projects and contributes towards the outcomes. Also, how we developed this course and how we delivered it, the student satisfaction, which Katya already presented for the intensive course, and the future of the course, because we do not want this course to have the end of its life here today or with the edition that's going on right now. So we want this course to have a future. So the distance learning unit at the University of Coimbra, we began our business in 2010, and we began to work only in non-degree courses. But around the year 2015, we started to work in different types of projects and to be called into working with researchers and teachers of the university to develop courses or resources for online environments. So our contribution is not in the scientific field of the project, but usually is a pedagogical or didactic contribution towards the project. So, and why do we participate in these projects? It's so, of course, to position ourselves in the European higher education context. Also to do benchmarking exercises, because we believe it's important for us to participate in this project, so we learn with others, and we also give our contribution to new models and to new ways of giving trainings, to sharing practices. And of course, we try to share our best practices, but we also share the things that are not so good about the participations or the project developments that happen, because it's not always positive. We also have learned a lot in these contributions. So we think that we always learn whichever way we go. And also we want to contribute to change. We want to change the learning environments. We want to contribute towards putting new science out in the field and to get the knowledge to people. So we think that this is a way of doing it as well. And also learning opportunities and research opportunities. So going to the MediMARE online course, this was a 54-hour course. It began on the 13th of March and went all the way to the 13th of May. It was fully delivered online and it's self-paced. Students can do the course at any time and anywhere they want, as long as they fulfill the timeline of the course. So they do not have to do a module at a given time, but they do have to do the course on the beginning on the start date and ending on the end date. Also, it's totally asynchronous, because this flexibility that we want to give needs to be fulfilled. And the only way to do it is to provide an asynchronous course so students have this flexibility. So our work mode is based on our instructional design model. And this design model was developed within our unit. It's based on the ADDI model, which is a training model already very well known and implemented worldwide. But what we have introduced into this model is the evaluation throughout the entire process. So we do not only evaluate in the end or evaluate knowledge, we do evaluation throughout the process. So how did we work with our contributors, our teachers, our researchers to develop this course? It was a dynamic process. It was a process where we worked very intensively and closely with our contributors. So we found the best solutions for the course. What happens is usually our contributors have no experience whatsoever in online learning, so we need to provide the support and the consultancy that they need to develop contents that can be used for online courses. So this is our job. They can know nothing about online learning. All they need to do is provide the content, and we will work with them to get the best solutions. And this is what happened in this online course. So we defined a timetable to provide all the contents, we analyzed them, and we made proposals of implementation information in the platform, and they were validated. And we were doing this process back and forth with all our contributors. They would give us feedback. We would find new solutions if the ones that were provided were not the best ones. And we came to our course by doing this. Regarding the MediMARE online course, as I said, it was developed in the Moodle platform. We had 4 modules. We have a common structure for these courses. In our case, our model is not a standardized model. We always look at the course. Our main goal is to have the objectives and the contents and activities all aligned with the entire course. So we will never have 2 equal courses, although we do have some instruments, some tools that we think are very important that should be transversal to our courses. One of the things is the guidelines for the course. So it's important that students in online learning know every step of the way what they need to do, because they do not have a person there all the time giving them guidance. So they need to have instructions, very clear instructions, and of course the support they need will be there, but it will not be as timely as if they could reach the teacher in the classroom. So this is very important in this kind of courses. Also, it's very important that they know the timeline. And in this case, as I said previously, this was a self-paced course. Nonetheless, we always provide an inspirational or a guiding timeline. So they know, okay, we need to have done module 1 in about 10 hours. So they know that if they're not complying with that time, maybe they're falling behind. So even if they can do it self-paced, it's always good to have some kind of timeline to just serve as guidance. Also, the activities, we always, in this course, we established an activity plan. The course had assessment in each module, and there is an activity plan that they also can resort to know exactly what activities and what tests they will need to do for passing the course. And in this case, this course had 4 tests, and they needed to pass all of them to complete the course. So the course has contents in text. It has contents in videos. We also provided a glossary, which was developed by our research team to give concept presentation for the entire course. So they would have a terms glossary that they could resort to if they had questions about specific terms in the course. And also they have further mandatory readings and further readings or further resources that they can consult for their own study and for their self-development within the course thematics. So regarding this course, and now I will need to put my glasses on because this doesn't go without it. So we had 227 students enrolled in this edition of the course, and 171 of them accessed the course, and 102 completed. So this may seem that we have fallen short, but we actually don't think so, because when we think of online learning and when we think of self-paced, free, self-paced online asynchronous courses, there is always a higher risk of students dropping out because they do not have like a commitment, financial or another type of commitment to keep. So having over 50% of students completing the course, and completing the course means they did all the activities and they passed. So this is a very positive outcome for this course. As you can see here, students have they had different types of interactions. So some students interacted with all the content, some of them didn't, because we had not all of them completed the course. But as you can see, we had a very high completion rate. We had the case, I think it was 3 cases where we had a committee meeting, a scientific committee meeting to decide on what to do, because people had very good outcomes in the activities they did, but they had fallen short in one activity. So it was decided that the board decided that they would not fail these students. And I think, of course, this is circumstantial and it's case to case. Of course, there is a general rule, but we thought that in this case, students had such good results in the other modules and they had fallen short in those that we decided to overcome this, and this is why there is a discrepancy in the number of activities that were done and the number of students that completed the course. So at the end of the course, we applied a satisfaction evaluation questionnaire. Our questionnaire has 19 questions, and of course it's designed and implemented to answer questions related to an online course. So it has specifics that are different from a face-to-face program. So 18 of the questions are mandatory, and the final question, which is an open-ended question, is optional. In this case, we evaluated dimensions such as the learning platform, so the usability and the experience using the Moodle platform, the course itself, so the contents and activities, the resources, the instructor's role and performance, the interpersonal relationships, and the teaching methodology were assessed in this dimension. Also, we evaluate overall satisfaction, and here we evaluate the most interesting topics, the strong and weak points. So these are also open-ended questions. And the expectations, just as in the face-to-face program, it was evaluated, and their knowledge before and after the course. So I'm not going to go into such detail as Katya. In our online course, and because registration was done separately from the course, we did not do social demographics evaluation. So we do not have numbers regarding the students answered. But in truth, I think that we always have a discrepancy here regarding those that participated and those that answer the course, because in the case of the intensive program, we have 20 students that were there face to face, and so they answer the question. In this case, it's totally open, so it would be very difficult to have significant data regarding social demographics. So we did not assess this because of this reason. So here, of course, we evaluated the expectations, and we have within the higher range, the greatly exceeded expectations, and the exceeded expectations were the two dimensions that were the two scores that were mostly selected by students. Just so you have the overall, 56 of the 102 students that completed the course answered the questionnaire. So we have a 50% rate of answer, which is really good for an online questionnaire. Also, most of the students identified that they had low knowledge of the topics before the course, and as we can see, it's went over to the high end of the scale when they were evaluating the knowledge after the course. So here we think that we fulfilled the goals of the course in this aspect. And even though, of course, the opinion of the students will always have a strong contribution to the future of the course, in spite of and those contributions are important, but all of them recommended the course. So all the students that answered the course recommended it. So we have 100% students recommending the course. So the strengths that they identified was the well-organized and relevant contents, the user-friendly platform, the case studies, which Francisco also mentioned, and Katia also referred to. This is something students really want, is to have real cases, to have context within the studies they're doing, the variety of resources, and the flexibility and self-paced mode of the course. The weaknesses, and of course this contrasts with the intensive courses, the weak interaction. And the weak interaction in a self-paced, totally asynchronous and non-monitored course, because it didn't really have like tutoring. Yeah, we had a forum, but there's being self-paced, it doesn't put students all at the same rhythm. So interaction will always be more difficult because we may have students that are at the beginning, some that are at the middle or at the end. So this will always work against interaction. So I believe that one of the weak points that was pointed out was due to this. The absence of videos in some modules. So as I said, the modules had different types of contents, and they were not always in the same, constructed in the same way, because the contents are also different and have different goals. So here, some students would have liked to have seen more videos. So and of course, we're taking this into consideration also for future editions and for the way we can improve the course and make it more interesting and more fruitful for students. And the formative quizzes and overlapping of some content. So these were some of the aspects that were pointed out. And here, the overall feedback was the platform was easy to use, the course structure was well organized again, the contents were appropriate and are applicable. So here the transfer to the academic context, to the professional context is very important. And this is one of the main outcomes of a course, so of a training, is the way they can transfer it to the professional or the academic context, in this case for this course, because the target audience is wide, and it can have professionals, students, researchers, teachers. So, and the activities were useful. The evaluation methodology was adequate considering the objectives. Their level of knowledge increased, and the instructors were supportive. And thank you, Roberta, because Roberta was there all the time giving support to these students. The instructors gave timely feedback, and they did not feel conditioned by the interaction occurring only online, and the course met or exceeded their expectations. So, because as I said in the beginning of this presentation, we don't want this course to end in the timeline of the project. All these outputs or these outcomes of projects have to have sustainability, and they need to continue to be disseminating and to result in in good practices that can contribute towards changing the status quo, as our representative from EA said. And here we have, of course, a plan for the future of the course. So we have gathered different dimensions to evaluate this course, not only the evaluation questionnaire, which is the feedback of the students, but also the academic team's perception. So we have now gathered the ideas that the academic team has after this entire project, not only the online course, the intensive program, the feedback from the participants. And we have gathered this, also the pedagogical team's perspective on how the course went and the MediMARE project outcomes as a whole, just like I said. And so now what we will do is a course improvement. So we have just launched on the 20th of September, the second edition of the course. We have 117 students already participating, and we want this to move forward and to continue to have new editions. And of course, those that can benefit from this will be the students, the researchers, the academics, and the scientific field itself, if in some way we can contribute toward those goals. So that's it. Thank you.
I also want to thank to Sylvia, the patient with the law professor.
So it's not only me, because behind the online course is a team. So I am the coordinator of the distance learning unit, but we have two colleagues that worked with us as well, João and André, which worked towards this, this course. Thank you.
I think we will give 5 minutes,
5 minutes
a break. Yeah.
Okay.
Break. Just to, yeah. So we see you in 5 minutes. Oh, obrigada.
Welcome back from this brief break. We're now going to the next session about communication and dissemination of the project. I'll just confirm that the Zoom is working, but I think it is. Yes, everything's okay. So I'll be talking about one of the communication activities that we have done, the exhibitions, Countries of the Sea. So first, the vision or the idea that we have, that we had about for organizing the exhibition was to use culture as a way to engage the general public with the project. Mainly, we had our target, as we have seen along the day, was mediators and people connected to maritime disputes and the sea. But we also wanted to showcase a little bit what was the project, to expand a little bit the public. So we thought that the exhibition would be a good opportunity to tell people what was our project and to engage people. Also, the exhibition had two main goals. That was to express how each country was involved with the sea. If we take a look at small images in the map, if you think about the seashore of Norway and the seashore of Portugal, they're both very big in proportion to the whole country. So we had two countries involved in the project that are very connected to the sea. So it would be a very interesting way and opportunity to see how both countries are related to the sea. And also, finally, to promote a better understanding and collaboration between the countries, because the EA grants funding, one of the things that defines the EA grant funding is to connect the countries, the countries that are part of the EA grants. So it was also the exhibition was a way to promote this partnership between countries, this understanding, the collaboration, and all of that. So all of that was the vision and the backstory of the exhibition. So in terms of process, it was a true collaborative project that gave me great joy to participate, because everyone was very open to the idea, and I must stress that these partners, the municipality of Sines, the municipality of Figueira da Foz, and the Trondheim Maritime Museum, they were not officially partners of the project, so they didn't receive any funding to participate in the project, which is an important aspect. They were truly volunteers, and they collaborate fully with the exhibition. So I have to express my happiness and gratitude to achieve this. And they all collaborate in a different way to put together the exhibition that we were able to organize. So just a little remark, the municipality of Figueira da Foz, they were represented by the museological nucleo of Buarcos, which is an ethnographic museum that is in Buarcos, which is in the municipality of Figueira da Foz. So about their contributions, the Sines municipality, they had organized an exhibition, dizeres, which in Portuguese means sayings. So it's about how fishermen has fishermen have a specific or characteristic language. In a way, it's the jargon of the fishermen. So some of the things we know, or some of the things we don't know. And the idea of the exhibition was to explain this vocabulary. So this exhibition was done during the pandemic. Unfortunately, they didn't get the time to show to people because there was no people going around, right? So everybody was at home, and then they were very glad to participate in the project because they then were able to showcase the exhibition. So it was also, like I mentioned, a win-win situation for them and for us. And also they made available one documentary that they produced, Maritime, which translating to English would be the Cine Sea, and also the documentary covered the fishermen, the culture, and these aspects of cines in this type of project. So it was very on point to what we wanted to say and to showcase with the exhibition, because it was a true example of the sea culture that we are trying to show in our exhibition. Next, we had the Figueira da Foz municipality and the Buarcos Museum. They were very collaborative with us, and they organize what we also ask of them. They organize with what we call it, but I'm not an expert on museums, so I'm sorry if I'm not using the right term, but it was a video exhibition. So it is a 7-minute video where they show the history of the fishery in Figueira da Foz. They show a little bit of the boats and the culture behind it, and they showcased this in a video, and it was a very good output too. Finally, we had the contribution of the Trondheim Maritime Museum, which we had a little bit some issues regarding the use of the photographs, because they have to, they are protected, of course, by copyright. So we had some limitations to using it, but I must say that the Trondheim Museum were very open to our collaboration. We went to Trondheim in a working visit, and they opened the museum. They help us with the organizing the exhibition, and also was very collaborative. So one of some of the photographs that they send us about the cod fishing, and how people work, and of course the codfish was the main subject of the exhibition, because the codfish was is an obvious connection when you're talking about Portugal and Norway and the sea. All right, so many Portuguese went fishing, many boats went fishing on northern seas, and many of the codfish was processed and in Norway, and then came to Portugal to be consumed, right? So so I invite for all those who are here with us, not for those who are watching on the YouTube. I know it's not possible, but all for those, the exhibition is still open, so you can all see the exhibition downstairs whenever you want. So I'll give the floor to Roberta to talk more about the other issues of dissemination and communication.
Okay, good afternoon again. Good afternoon again. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how the online interaction with the participants of the project was, and about the games, and also about the workshops. First, regarding the games, should we open the website? Okay. We chose 3 topics to make the games, and within those 3 topics, we tried to talk about a lot of subjects within it. So the first game was on ship deviation, The second was regarding damaged cargo, and the third was on misleading Incoterm clause. So the three of them were on the same format. So they're available on the MediMARE website. As I think we can just open one so everyone can see what's how it's played. So when we enter the game, there are options available, and the player can choose always a yes or no question and choose the route where it leads them. And there's always an explanation that will provide, some background on the topics we're trying to cover within the project. So it's within mediation and within maritime issues. So should we go through that? No. So we will lead. The games are on the medimare.eu website, and please enter and check them. So there are 3 games. Tonight we're going to be in the European Investigators Night, and we're going to also be exhibiting the games for the participants in the fair. It's a fair, right? So regarding the workshops, we had several online workshops with very broad and interesting topics. Some of the participants participated with us in different parts of the project after their first participation. It was very interesting, so we decided to call them again. And with this regards, I'll mention Joaquim Simplicio. His first participation was on the topic mediation in maritime dispute as a safety tool in a changing world. And his workshop is also available online. And he participated with us in the first final seminar as well. We also had a large seminar with Reese Cliff as a keynote speaker, and several of us talking about, where all our work stand until January 30th. And we had different forms of approaching the workshops. So some of them were only regarding mediation, and as we had, background on that, and some of them was regarding pure maritime law, as we were trying to gather both areas within the maritime mediation. So most of the workshop, as they were permitted through the speakers, were recorded, and you can check them online. And through the workshops, we had also, an interaction with the public, and we could see what they wanted. So through the questions, and sometimes the questions were not only questions, they were, what the participants thought of mediation and of maritime mediation. And so we could perceive what was interesting for them when we could arrange the next workshop topic to be. So that was the main, interaction regarding the workshops. We had monthly newsletters that were sent to more than 300 addressees that were in our lists. And invitations to the workshops and to all our events were also sent through the MediMARE email. And some interaction happened also through that email. And also through the platform of the online course. Some of the participants, replied to us and mentioned what was necessary in terms of, of their difficulties. And we also invited them through that platform also to participate in the workshops, and we got their emails to invite them to the next and the following events. Also for the online and for the intensive course, the invitations were sent through our email, so that communication was made in a in a unified form. But invitations were also sent by our partners. And from what I can speak from the University of Coimbra, it was sent by the Faculty of Law and by the University of Coimbra Institute for Legal Research. So therefore, we could reach, a wide range of people. And in that sense, I can also mention the word Maritime University, who was responsible for spreading the online course through their net of alumni. So we have several of the people that are enrolled coming from their alumni. So from all over the world, from all continents. So that communication was very effective and very interesting. So I think that was most of what I had to say in terms of communication and in terms of how we interacted with all the people who were interested. So it was basically through that network. And we also have Instagram, we also had Facebook, where we published most of our outcomes of the events. But everything is condensed within the MediMARE website. So it's going to still be on. Whatever you want to check, please come and check our website in medimare.eu. So that's it. Thank you.
Posso admitir, Cristina?
Sim, sim, sim. Outra pessoa não sei se
Não, é Francisco. Admito também? Ele já falou, não foi?
Já.
Posso remover, então?
Sugestões. So, hello, Christina. Thank you for joining us. Hi. Can you hear us well from the room?
Absolutely, and you can hear me. It seems like.
Can we hear Christine well?
Not well.
I think it's. Can you adjust a little bit the mic?
I'm trying, and I also can talk louder.
No. No, now it's okay. So you don't need to raise your voice because we can. Very well. So let's move on to our fourth session and final panel on stakeholders engagement. This was a big part of the MediMARE project, besides involving naturally the project partners and of course students and the public in general has already stated before, and particularly in the last session. We also were very careful on engaging stakeholders and to know their views on maritime mediation. Is it needed? How should it be put forward and be developed? So on that part, we will have here the presentation of the project partner, Kristin Storkensen, that is joining from Norway, and myself, that at the end will do some short remarks on the involvement of the mediation community. So, Kristin, I give you the floor so that you can present.
Can you give me access to share?
Let me see. It's not there yet. Let me check. Okay, I'll name you co-host, and then you can share. Se calhar admito, porque senão eu não consigo ouvir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'm while I'm trying to find the presentation and give you it, I'm just going to. Now I get the. Now I'm allowed to share. I can just say thank you for giving me this opportunity to be in this project. It has been so much interesting discussions and so much fun, actually. It has been so interesting to understand the mediation field, how you work, and how we, as researchers, can collaborate on this topic. Now I am sharing. I hope that you can see the presentation.
Yes, perfect.
Very good. So I'm just going to give two small presentations, actually. One about the taxonomy that we developed in the start of the project, and some interviews that we had later on in the project. And they are kind of connected. And I guess that you have been talking all day about how the characteristics of disputes and the maritime industry, but I'm just going to give a brief an introduction of where my mind came from and how me and my co-workers have been working on this topic. And as sociologists and social scientists, we are really interested in the different perspectives of persons, and we can see that it all depends on where a person stands and the view of a situation and just the perspective. And so it's really important to keep in mind this, that we need to understand a conflict or dispute from different perspectives. And also the maritime context is also even fuller of different perspectives and different actors and activities, different regulations and laws. So it's that was the first starting point. And when we're then talking about accidents and all these different events and so many different type of consequences, it was obvious that we needed a taxonomy. And I guess that this was what you talked about or had in mind already in the start of the project when writing the proposal, that we need some kind of overview of the different type of disputes and to get see some patterns and understand how can we dive into this when we are going to mediate or want to seek even more mediation than there already is. So that was why we took the challenge from you to try to develop a taxonomy. We asked ourselves, what is needed to support the mediation process, and how can we have all these different perspectives and different events and actors, and try to get an overview and understanding. So I'm going to tell you a bit more about the taxonomy now. But what we have seen is that it seems like it is well that students and researchers and mediators find it quite useful in trying to understand a taxonomy dispute when you enter the field of mediation, or when you have a dispute and you want to see if it's possible to mediate. So this is perhaps more for the start process and more to understand how to approach this dispute. And this is the taxonomy. It is quite interesting visually, quite perhaps ugly in a way, but it is very full of information. And what we have understood is that we didn't actually want to make a taxonomy in the right word meaning of the word, because a taxonomy actually should have everything in it. But we have tried to instead make different characteristics, so it's possible to put everything that you see in it. But when you look at the full picture here, it doesn't have every actor, every category, or every indicator of severity here. It is more a tool in where you can put in your a dispute that you have on your hand. So I'm trying to explain some of this this chaotic picture. But when we go to the categories, the green bulbs here, we have given examples in the green circles about different disputes. So you could have, for instance, cargo or breach of contract. It could be about environment or about safety management. And it could be about different things too, but every dispute, when you look at it, you should start trying to categorize it. What is the main case of or topic of the dispute? And then you can have a look at the actors, see who are involved. Usually there are at least two. Usually in the maritime industry, it's a ton of actors when you go further behind it. But you should try to figure out who are the main entities or units involved in the dispute. It could be from an individual or up to state level or even over that. And usually in this case, or at this point, you will see that there are history, culture, and a line of different things behind the actors. Perhaps that will, perhaps that has made the dispute, or at least that will affect the resolution of the dispute and the potential mediation. And then it's going to be useful to see how severe the consequences potentially can be. And then we have used these 4 categories that are complexity, impact, urgency, and effects. And this is perhaps what we have been discussing the most, if there should be more or less main topics here. But at least it seems useful to go into to try to understand the consequences, whether and the complexity within the dispute, how the impacts potentially could be, if they are urgent. Pollution dispute needs to be solved in a different way than a long-term culture dispute. And also the effects could be something else than the impacts. And they also could be short or long-term. So it's really important to understand the differences here. I forgot to say that if you have questions, and if it's possible to ask, just go ahead and ask during the presentation. Because I didn't want to go too deep into the taxonomy. I guess that you all have access to the guidebook and the report where we wrote more about it, and also in the courses made by MediMARE, it is possible to try out the taxonomy and see if you want to use it as a tool in your mediation or understanding of disputes. So when we made the taxonomy, we found it interesting to see all the different types of solutions and mediations, arbitrations, and how disputes are solved in the different type of accidents and disputes. And so we had this interview study trying to understand how is it really now are mediation used, and what could be the market, so to say, for mediation, more mediation, or so an interview study was performed both in Portuguese and Spanish, and Norwegian, and was a part of the team doing the Norwegian interviews, and so the findings reported here are from the Norwegian interview study. And I think that there were findings that were interesting and similar across the countries. But in Norway, we interviewed 13 persons that you could say are experts in different type of the word in and had a great interest in either maritime law or mediation or both. So we interviewed both the lawyers and mediators, persons involved in the maritime industry, persons that had been involved in different type of disputes, and also persons high up in the Norwegian law at university, trying to advocate for mediation. All of them but one were positive to mediation. One of them, a lawyer, said that mediation is not the way to go. But the rest were very positive to the idea, and they elaborated a bit about that, and I'm going to say something about the elaborations now. Dulce, just let me know when my time runs out.
About 4 minutes still, so I think you can conclude.
Yeah. So the reason, one thing that is really important, and as you all know, is that if mediation is going to be successful, you need a mediator that has trust and is trusted also to be a competent person in the field of the dispute. It could be, it doesn't have to be about the technicalities, but about something that the actors in the dispute find important. And I'm not going to go into that because you know much more about that than me, but the persons I interviewed were really concerned with that you need all these informal competences, and that is difficult to formalize, of course. But they also were talking about how the world now usually consists of lawyers and courts, and not that much mediation, although some type of mediation actually is mandatory in the Norwegian court system, law system, but it's not that much used in the maritime because it doesn't use the Norwegian system that much. But they said that, so we're not going to go very, mediation is not going to be very much used if it doesn't get formalized and structured into some type of regulatory form and making it more mandatory. And the persons we were talking about also described what I would call some kind of paralysis in the maritime world, and I've been doing research about that before, due to the nature of the maritime industry, that it's so global and have the possibility to flag out and to use different type of law systems. You also need to have all regulations internationally, which make it so much more difficult to both develop and enforce. And so the interviews basically said that mediation is a good idea. It's used somewhere, but not much. And there are many obstacles due to the need for more structural implementation. And I just had some institutions here that are important and that will be important and difficult to persuade into structuralizing mediation. So to sum up both the taxonomy work and the interviews, it does seem like the taxonomy could be a tool for understanding the conflicts or disputes. But when you, in order also to increase the use of mediation, you need to try to change some maritime structures, which could be difficult or which has been interesting to discuss in this project and could be interesting to discuss further on. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Christina. Let me just, or do we leave it like this?
I can just stop sharing.
Sharing, please. So, and we can, let me just now, no, we're the same. Is it okay like this? Maybe I should put myself forward. Visualizar, aqui visualizar, and then gallery. So perfect. Now we're back to the initial format. So thank you, Christine, for showing us the importance and the difficulties of addressing maritime mediation and trying to push it forward. And this is a great. This is the perfect combination to what I will talk about now, which is the involvement of the mediation community. Christine talked about how maritime constructs are maybe difficult to rearrange so that they are more apt to mediation and to be part of mediations, but it is also very important that the mediation community realizes everywhere, not only in certain areas of the world like London and Singapore, that maritime mediation could be a fruitful field for alternative dispute resolution, and that it could be really a good field for investment in terms of knowledge and also in terms of organizing mediation facilities and to provide this service that is, as we gathered from the project, well needed a bit everywhere. So the idea here of involvement of the mediation community is essential. We tried doing it in the project. We had mediators as members, and of course you could say this is a more legal-oriented project, but we had our colleagues from Norway, we had our colleagues from Nova, and we tried to engage the mediation community from early on by inviting them to our events, by putting forward all of our outputs and also engaging them in this crossroad between maritime issues and the development of a specific type of mediation or an adjusted mediation to the maritime field. In particular, that's what I want to address now. We've developed a curriculum on maritime mediation that is also available online and that gathers inputs from several other outputs of the project, namely the interviews, as already said by Christina, the intensive course where the curriculum was tested, and then the presentation of the curriculum itself. The idea here is just to be an experimentation tool, a guidance report that could serve as a basis of already some experience developed during the project to be used by whomever is interested in developing courses on maritime mediation, even certified courses on maritime mediation. So the idea is to give a layout of what a curriculum of a course for maritime mediation could be. As you know, it fluctuates a little bit around the world, but in principle, a mediator could be everyone, okay, or anyone. So from fields of knowledge, ages, background. So it should be open to everyone to be able to be, of course, with due regard to the specific characteristics of the mediator and also some basic knowledge on the maritime field. It should be open to everyone to be able to invest in this field and maybe to push forward the conclusions that we reached during the project. The idea of the project was really very exploratory in this field. There was something, but even in places where maritime mediation flourishes, there is not that many academic writings, there is not that many projects, or even we search for them, there are no courses. So indeed, we thought there is a gap here that should be filled because of the positives of maritime mediation, and then the project tried to address this gap at a first stage. Now it's up to anyone that is interested, and will be interested, because the outputs are out there, are reachable, easily accessible. So it is up for everyone if the persons really do feel that maritime mediation is a field to invest in, and we, as the project, we sincerely think so, and we have supported this with evidence and with work and with experiments. So we urge everyone to be aware, to learn more, and maybe to start working in this field and creating a big bash of maritime mediators, and who knows, maritime mediation centers, besides the ones that very locally in specific places already exist. So we bid you farewell. I say goodbye to my project friends and partners. We will have other chances, I hope, to work again together. It was really lovely, and it was a learning experience, but as Christine said, also a very fun experience. Everyone is delightful. And thank you to everyone. Thank you to all the public that followed us and that was interested in what we had to say and in the project itself. To the students, I don't know if Bernardo wants to ask something. I will put the floor open. We have a student of our intensive course here that is also a mediator and a mediation academic. So he will be one of those who will pursue further with maritime mediation, and I'm very proud of that. And also to our financing agency, the EEA grants that have helped us throughout this process. A big thank you for believing in our project, and we hope we have not disappointed them. I'm sure we didn't, but let's see. Well, thank you very much. I just ask if everyone in the room has any question.
I have a question.
You can come forward, Bernardo. So Bernardo, you can come forward because we don't have a mic. And so Bernardo Coimbra e Lima, one.
I think Professor already know me for the intensive course mediation, right?
I'm talking to the world now.
Sorry. Good afternoon, world.
To the world. So Bernardo, tell me.
I just want to thank all the projects. I think when you start a project like this, you think it might change some lives, but it actually changed my life. As I already thank the Professor Storkensen for the taxonomy theory that actually going to be an important role in my PhD thesis, of course. And all the MediMARE project in the name of my dear Professor Dulce Lopes. We students also the effort you all put in this project, so we thank you. And I want to know, Professor Storkensen, I'm a huge fan, already a huge fan of your work, and I want to know what's your next step, if you want to continue to pursue the maritime conflicts, or you have maybe another field, because of course I will follow your publications for life. Thank you.
I'm so honored. So I am going to publish a couple of papers very soon in a book series called Safety Management, which is published by Springer. And it's not about mediation per se, but something really important, which is safety management, which is the neighbor of mediation, I would say, or at least something contributing to some of these kids too. Right now, I don't have any projects in mediation, but let me know if you have some ideas. And and also we do just now talked with a Swedish research foundation that really wants to fund projects for the good of the seafarers, which I think could be a very good source for funding for us. So let's talk more.
Thank you, Christina. I'm looking forward to that. I also know the EA grants are restructuring their program. So I hope we work together again. It has been really a wonderful team, and thank you all, and a wonderful project. So I bid you farewell to everyone, to the partners, to the public, and also to the people at home that are seeing us or will see us in the future. And let's continue to pursue this road to a more developed maritime mediation across the world. Thank you, everyone.